All right, are we ready? 3, 2, 1, we are live. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Abel Perez.
Jose Rodriguez.
Rui Zachariah.
And this is the Weekly Jargon. We are here again, fellas. And once again, that jar is in the middle of us.
There you go.
Ready to bring great conversation.
Well, I think as a tradition now, let's go ahead and start pointing out some of these table topics, right?
Sounds good. So we'll get some calibration in with the table topics, and then we're going to hop into Valentine's Day, right? And I think we might get ourselves in trouble. 3 men sitting in a room talking about Valentine's Day.
I'm sure we will.
But either way, we want you to like, subscribe, comment, give us your feedback, your experiences on Valentine's Day based off of what we talk about. We'd love for you to share this video, like and subscribe, do all of those things, smash that bell so you're reminded every time Jose and Rohi come on live and me too, I guess. All right, let's go to the jar.
Here we go. Well, this is first table topic. Let me go ahead and ask that. Has a movie ever been too scary for you, Abel?
Yes, actually. I think the infamous The Exorcist, that movie, I was probably about 13, 14 years old, and I used to have to watch it in chunks. And back then, you had the back button on the remote, and so if it was on, one time it was on, I was at my cousin's house, and we had it on channel 52, and then whatever channel that was. But I remember 52 was Cartoon Network. So we were watching it, trying to hang in there. When it got too crazy, we'd hit the back button, it'd go to cartoons. And I mean, we were fairly older, but that movie, it freaked me out. Kind of growing up in a household with religion, when you start dealing with all that demonic stuff, it really starts pulling those strings. So,
Well, there you go. Exorcist, right?
Yeah, The Exorcist.
Okay. What about you, Rohi?
For me, I don't do well with the gore stuff. So I remember when we watched Saw for the first time, it was definitely one of the movies I kind of felt myself just uneasy and kind of looking away for the first time, at a movie. It kind of wasted my money because I didn't want to watch it,
Yeah.
So.
These movies are getting too real, too
they are.
realistic.
Yeah.
It's hard
Well,
to
surprisingly
decipher.
for me, Chucky. And I know you may think it's funny, but for some reason, something about dolls, especially those older dolls that have those eyes that the lids go up and down. And every time I would see one, I would just wonder, man, did that blink? And Chucky certainly brought more life to it because now every time I saw a doll, I would think of that Chucky. Yeah. So that's that. Abel, did you want to grab one here?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you can read that in there.
Set me up. Did you have that one loaded or what? Yeah. What color will never appear in your wardrobe? That's a good one.
Yeah.
Anybody got an answer loaded? Because I got to think about this.
I think turquoise, yeah.
You're almost wearing turquoise right
No,
now.
I don't think so.
I don't really do the purples. I don't think
Purples?
Yeah.
Okay.
You wear everything.
I'm pretty open, man. I'm down for a lot. Maybe like I guess I don't wear a lot of gold. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it might be a
flashy
affordability thing. I don't know, but not
Sequins, no sequins.
Yeah, I guess you wouldn't wear like a gold shirt or something. That's a little bit weird. So yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, Rohi.
All right, let's see.
See what you got there.
These are a lot easier than last week.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you that.
Yeah, they are.
I think that's just the rules. I don't know. Up in there. Which self-help book did you put down before you finished?
Which what?
Self-help book. Man, I'd probably say the Bible, to be honest. I don't know if I got through that thing before I put it down.
Yeah, that's a pretty good answer. Yeah, that's a really good answer.
I say how to win a client over.
Yeah.
I guess I try reading a couple of sales tactics on there, and I just over and over, you keep on wanting to try to get better and better. There's a lot of books that people put out there. Mm-hmm. Try this, try that. But, frankly, after I read half of it, I go, okay, there's a lot of repetitive stuff. Well, you think you know it already, but yeah.
For me, it's going to be instructional guides, how to put something together. You're going and you're thinking, gosh, man, it's taking a long time. Let me just figure it out. And you just kind of ditch it and then just wing it, and few extra pieces even when I go my route, right? A few extra pieces left over and a few extra bolts. So I'm actually saving. It's a little bit more efficient the way I do it.
But a lot of the times when you put it together, doesn't it feel better that you can do a lot of stuff just by visualizing what it should look like?
Yeah.
And then before you know it, like you said, you end up with extra parts. But at the end of the day, hey, it looks like what's on the box. It's just missing these particular
You're
components.
just smarter than the engineer.
There you go.
Place.
There you go.
There you go. So, gentlemen, we are here. It is, we're about 14, 15 days out from Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day, what does that mean to you guys, right? And it's very easy to assume or associate Valentine's Day with the love and everything because that's what is commercialized, right? That's what we're told. If you love someone, you got to be there for them on Valentine's Day with the chocolate, the flowers, the candy, the limo, the nice fancy dinner, right? Are you bought into that?
Shoot, I tell you, I think early on, when I first started dating my wife, I think that was anybody that's young that's courting. I think that's probably the thing in their head, right? Is what can I do this Valentine's to make it special? Because you're always trying to get that attention. You're trying to get those points, so to speak. But yeah, certainly all the flowers, the chocolates, the gifts, and a lot of times these questions that we have here today will kind of spin off of those. And some of the questions that we have here is what is too much? Is there a price tag on that? So yeah, I think it's common when you're young. I'm not sure for you, Abel, but
yeah. I think I look at Valentine's Day almost like a birthday. We recognize people specifically on their birthday. Not that we don't love them or care for that person or appreciate them throughout the rest of the year, but on their birthday, we go the extra distance to make it extra special, right? It's a good reminder of like, hey, let's celebrate this person's life. And I feel like sometimes, like a lot of couples, whether you're married or you're just dating, sometimes you need that reminder, right? And I think that's the initial intention is like, here's a reminder to like do something special for your significant other. And for me, I try really hard not to get caught up in like, okay, I want my gift to be better than that guy's gift that he got for his spouse or whatever the case may be. It's like, what's going to put a smile on my wife's face? What's going to make her, feel special, feel appreciated? And so I do like to correlate it to birthdays for that reason. And I'll tell you, on my birthday, I'm the guy who says, don't do anything. I don't want anything. But 7 p.m. on my birthday, nobody's doing nothing. I'm feeling like crap. I'm feeling like I regretted saying that, right? And I think most people are like that. And so I always try to do a little something to try to make her feel special, because even if we're like, no, we're not going to do anything, it might sting still, especially for her if she doesn't, feel celebrated or appreciated. So,
yeah, I mean, we look at it. We were talking about it this morning with my wife, and that, we're both people that don't feel it needs to be a holiday. I mean, if you want to do something, you can do it any day of the year. And I know it especially hard for people who aren't in a relationship, and I think that's where society is kind of gotten a little burned now with, because people are probably thinking, well, they're sad now. There's a lot of depression and people going, well, I don't have that person. I don't have somebody who cares for me. And it's a reminder of that, And then it's the pressure of making sure you don't get together with somebody on the 13th of February because, now you're in the hole again now because it's already, it's expected of you, one day or not, you're expected to get a gift that following day. And there's some of that social pressure,
But to your point, you said that if folks out there feel like, hey, maybe I'm left out, what happens to the fact that you are with the partner and yet you forget, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, doesn't that person also feel left out? And that's what I see, kind of to your point, is that even if there's small little tokens of appreciation or something small, I think the thought really goes a long ways. I think in general, partners really appreciate the fact that you're considering. It doesn't have to be something big, right? Mm-hmm. And I think there's some statistics out there showing that, this year alone, people spent about $26 billion on this holiday, being one of the highest in record, right? But why? Why do we go through that process, right? And the generation that's trailing with the most money spent is the millennials, and anywhere from $300 to $330 a month. But the generation second to that is the generation 25 to 33. And then that kind of leaves us out, Generation X and the baby boomers. What are we doing? Is it the fact that we've already been through that process? What is it that why are we not up there in those numbers, right? Is it that millennials are pursuing love, or they have a longer lasting relationship when it comes to Valentine's, or what do you think that is?
I think the fire is still ignited, right? For the millennial generation, and where you got You're old school generation where you feel like, hey, we already got it, right? We're already established. We've been through that. No need, right? But typically, 35 to 50 years old, that's usually the higher rate of divorce within that range, right? And it could be because of the comfort behind, I no longer have to try, I no longer have to do those things. So I like where Rohi was going, where it's like, we don't need a holiday to show love for each other. We don't need to, it doesn't need to be a holiday in order for us to do those things. But back over to what I said in the beginning, it's like, a lot of people do, right? And it's easy to like go through the hustle and bustle. And I know I do it all the time where, I in the real estate industry, I'm showing gratitude and appreciation to my clients every single day, to my my referral partners every single day, the people that support me every single day, right? But the main person, my partner in life, you overlook them sometimes and you forget to do that, right? And so I can only imagine if I do that, how many other people do. And so I'm okay with, saying, hey, here's a holiday, here's a holiday to recognize that special person, infuse some romance into your lives and really rekindle that fire, right? You don't want that to dwindle down.
Dr. Love, he knows how to do it. So, and I appreciate that, because a lot of the times you'll notice that you can have a partner and agree that, hey, this is just another holiday. Let's not really celebrate it, or we do it every other day. But it's hard for that day to go by without you really seeing the holiday expressed in many different ways, right? You have it in the media, you have it parades, you have social media, TV, radio, everybody talking about Valentine's Day. I think even those folks, to some degree, may say, well, shoot, I didn't get nothing, right? and because it's a special day, right? So I still think that just, you don't have to have a big price tag. You can always, do the smallest of things and make sure that the other person certainly appreciates the fact that you thought of them, right?
Fellas, I know we have some questions surrounding Valentine's. Let's go to the questions here.
All right.
There's just some quick little tidbits, right? So I'm going to ask you guys my question. So we'll start with Mr. Rohi. What's your ideal Valentine gift? What is something you crave or you really appreciate every single year?
I want the chocolates. I want the flowers.
Yeah, you're a diva. Huh?
No, that's, again, it's like we were talking about the Christmas thing. It's time is a lot of it. I think it's just hanging out, watching a movie. To me, that's all I need.
Yeah,
I don't need the stuff.
Right.
Yeah. For me, I think just going out to a dinner. Enjoying a dinner, and it doesn't have to be a costly dinner, just making sure that it's you and your partner. I think for us that have kids, sometimes we get wrapped up in the whole thing with kids and all, and sometimes you forget that, hey, you have a partner that you courted, that you had passion for, and you still have passion for. But again, that passion shifts a little bit because now you have a family or kids that are surrounding your household, and a lot of times your time is spread between taking kids here, doing that, and everybody taking their role or responsibility to make sure that the family's okay. But at what point, and to Abel's point, I think that special day could be a special day of recognition, but simple gift, for me, my wife will give me a card, or she'll give me some clothing or something, and it doesn't have to be a big price deal. It's just the thought that counts. But for me, I think just spending some quality time, maybe like a dinner or lunch or something for that day.
Yeah, definitely. And just so I can answer that as well, I do like the recognition of Valentine's Day that my wife puts into it. It's like she's waiting for me to ask her to be her Valentine, right, for that day. Like she wants me to like work for that a little bit, right? But it's that me and her moments leading up to and then on Valentine's Day where it's like, all right, family aside, we're just going to focus on each other and have a nice dinner, or watch a movie and just hang out, or maybe I cook that day, right? It could be something a little bit, just a token of that appreciation. But I think what I really like is I know that she's waiting for me to ask her to be her Valentine, right? And it's really sexy because it's like she can't wait to say yes, and so for me that's like, oh man, I'm a lucky man for that, right? And so yeah, so I'll leave it there.
Let me throw a separate question from that there, but because you bring up some pretty good points there. So Valentine's in your families and maybe culturally, is that something that was celebrated aside from this U.S. holiday or this U.S. national day? It's not so much a holiday, but a day of showing your love for your partner. Is that something that you saw growing up along with your parents and or grandparents, aside from what you see outside of the media and stuff?
I know my dad watches this show. He's gonna be like, "Man, you punk." But I could remember my dad not doing anything certain years, and I could see, even though my mom was very very like just kind of low maintenance, like didn't they always had that agreement like we don't get each other anything for Christmas or our birthdays or anything like that, right? We just have each other. We're gonna spend time. But when there was no acknowledgement of it. It was really like, it was kind of, you could see it affected her a little bit, right? Maybe not to the point where she's sitting there crying, but I guess the compare and contrast is when he would do something, right? Because there were years where, there would be, a couple dozen of roses that were sent, and man, she would, just be bright, smiled, super energetic. And that's where it was like, oh, like, that's what that does, right? It is special. It does mean something, right? And so I think he started catching on, and so some of the later years, living in the household, it started becoming more of a thing. And again, just small tokens of appreciation. And now I know they always do like. The first time they had gotten married was on Valentine's Day, right? When they initially had got married really, really young. They later got remarried to the church, so they have 2 wedding dates essentially, right? But their first anniversary, then it became Chef Larry out there cooking it up, doing teppanyaki for my mom, and I know that's his way of saying, here's some skills, here's some talent, here's some love and passion for you, and my mom really appreciates that, right?
There you go, Larry.
So,
those are good points for you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that brought the reason why I brought that question was because growing up, Valentine's Day in the Catholic Church was known as Saint Valentine's, right? And I remember looking at the calendar, the Catholic calendar that my mom had there on the refrigerator, and I would go through the calendar and it had a picture of a Saint Valentine's, right? And that was kind of culturally for Catholics, that's what it was. And what is Valentine's? Who was Saint Valentine's, right? So there's legends saying that this goes back to the Roman times where the emperor at the time, Claudius II, wanted to establish an army. And within that army, he wanted to have men that weren't married because, again, he didn't want them longing for wives. He didn't want them to get homesick. So secretly, this priest and married these men. Again, that's legend. I don't know how true that is, but again, there's different versions of St. Valentine's. But again, this priest marrying these folks, again, to demonstrate that there was love that existed during that time. Even, love's been around for many, for thousands of years, right? But for the most part, it represented a day of love, right? And I think that's how we've taken this day to represent what love is today. But typically in our culture, it was mainly a saint. It was mainly a saint, and it was mainly a Catholic type of day. But obviously in the U.S. and I'm sure other parts of the world, it's become something much more than just a religious day. It's a day of love.
So did your parents?
I didn't see gifts? That. I didn't really see that in my family, quite frankly, because I don't know to what extent Valentine's was really brought into their culture, them growing up. I think it's more evident with generations like second, third, fourth generations, because my kids will probably see it from me and they'll be able to say, yeah, I've witnessed my dad, give my mom her Valentine card and what have you, kind of like your story. But I didn't see that in my family household. About you, Roy?
Yeah, same here. I don't think I could ever say that there was anything specific that I said, oh yeah, there's an exchange of gifts or something. I know my dad did that with my mom. I'm sure they went out to dinner and stuff, but it wasn't like, there's something overly abundant that I could just be like, oh yeah, I remember every year he does this or every year he does this, But and again, maybe that's the way it is with us, because I know that's how my wife's parents are. They're kind of the same thing. They do something, but it doesn't sound like it was, like a dramatic thing like some of these birthday parties get into now, where it's like, a day of festivities and it's kind of have to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something more small, and I think that's where we've kind of landed. Is just we know it's there. Like I said, we'll do something small, but it's not like I have to buy the chocolates and the flowers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, definitely. Cool. What does your question say there, Jose?
Mine says, "What's the price tag on Valentine's Day that you're wanting to put out?" Right?
Oh my God.
And that's
I think this is where the problem with any commercialized holiday exists, right? Because it's like, don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself just to be in the, on the Instagram post or doing it for the Instagram post, right? Do it because it actually means something. And so I have kind of 2 points. One, I think it always comes down to the relationship, the partnership that you have with somebody, right? You mentioned like, don't get into a relationship on the 13th of February, right? Because now you're kind of on the hook. But the person that you engage or you pursue a relationship with, right? They should be very conscious of your financial well-being as well, right? Because especially if you're married, but even if you're together, there should be this understanding of what they're capable of, right? If my wife and I are, struggling and paying bills and, we're working our asses off just to make ends meet, her expectation shouldn't be that there's going to be a Mercedes with a bow in the driveway, right? Because that's just not smart, right? That's just not the right decision at that time. And so, I feel personally, I'm very fortunate because my wife and I, we've been through it where, we have to make a pound of ground beef last a few days, and so we know how to essentially love each other without all of the bells and whistles and, all the shiny stuff. And I think that's very important, right? And so kind of like, some of the greatest gifts that you'll receive as a parent or whatever are those homemade gifts that your kids make, right? Because there's a lot of effort that went into it. They actually had to apply some skill. They had to do some research, right? And so it doesn't have to be expensive to celebrate Valentine's Day. I think it just a little bit of thought and effort and understanding amongst one another really helps, right? So I think you could do a whole lot with $50,
There you go.
and it'd be special.
I think you're right. I think you're right, Rohi.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, it's it's something that I just hate the feeling that, again, like the check boxes. Okay, there's got to be the flowers. There's got to be the thing of chocolates. There's the dinner that it's you don't make the dinner. You got to take them out to dinner. Like I don't like that feeling of it. It's where to me it cheapens the holiday. Because again, okay, so you only spent $1,000 this year. Well, next year you better spend more.
Right,
what I mean? And it just kind of gets you into this thing. Well, if I don't meet that level I did last year, am I doing less? Then should I do it at all? So I agree. I mean, I like the idea of it. It's that personal touch. It's that if you're trying to say that the holiday is for your sign of your love for the other person, you kind of know what they like, you know what they want to do, you know what maybe you haven't been able to do for the last year, and you make it special. Okay, yeah, we haven't maybe had enough time to go, on a drive to this place. Okay, well, that's what we're going to go do. That's to me where the holiday kind of makes sense, is you have that option to do those special things that person wants to do, not just do them to keep an industry going, basically.
Yeah. Just listening to both of you, it just pops up a question. Is this holiday driven more by a certain sex? Meaning, there's Mother's Day, so we know what's expected there. There's Father's Day.
Which is to do what? I'm
still
confused on Father's Day.
But here at Valentine's Day, is it expected of a certain sex to then step up or is it expected that both?
I think it's Mother's Day 2.0 without you having to be a mother.
So do you think that's the case? So you see that more, that it's more the male part of the sex, or pushing for this?
I think it, the commercialized, anything commercialized now comes from, your 50s, 60s, your Mad Men, marketing men, creating campaigns and selling the hell out of product, right? And during those times you had, single income families. The man was the breadwinner. He'd go out, work, and, wife was home, right? And he'd come with the pearl necklace or the car or whatever the case may be. And so I think that tradition kind of still exists. And there is very much so a lot of pressure on men to perform for their women versus,
and we talked about that.
Poor guy, he didn't get anything, Nobody says that.
And we talked about that with the ideal man. There's a lot of expectations, right? But anyhow, the cost that I would say, look, if I can tell young people, I would say, think think hard about it, because you don't have to put yourself in debt to try to get something out there. You can still make a lot of good impressions, kind of to what Abel's point was, that there are little things that you can do that can certainly make big impressions on your partner. And if you go out there and spend money that you don't have, then that puts you in a hole, because next year you're going to do the same thing. And it's this cycle that it's hard to get out of. So if you have a partner that understands you and knows that your thoughts are valued, then maybe it's something that you want to do very small, but use that money in a different way. Because if you see this partner as someone that you can be for a long time, maybe you can use that money for something better, maybe a down payment on a home. And then I'm sure Abel can tell you how to go about that as well.
Reach out to me. Here's my business card. I'm going to throw it up on this.
But yeah, so price tag, I don't mean, it's hard to say, but I would say don't get yourself in debt. If you have the ability to do it, do it. But if you see yourself stretching yourself, limit yourself. And there's a lot of other creative ways that you can certainly inspire your partner.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Roy, I think you had one more question here.
So, and this one's a good one. So, is it still Valentine's Day if you don't celebrate it on February 14th? Yeah. And I will say, for us, there's very rare occasions that we can celebrate on February 14th. I think this year it's middle of the week again, right? So, usually with stuff like that, we would do it on the next weekend. I see a lot of people that will say, we'll go that Friday night, Saturday night out. So again, it goes back to the point, is it really Valentine's Day still, or did you miss it and you're just celebrating something else?
And I think this is where more than ever the token of appreciation or gratitude that you display to your significant other on that day is more important than ever. Because who's had a birthday the weekend or the weekend after their actual birthday, right? You're still equally as a recipient on that day, right? As the birthday boy, you're excited about it, but nobody else is, because it's like, oh, we already celebrated, right? Or, oh, we're not celebrating till next weekend, and you do feel that, like, you do feel a little bit left out, and so I think, to your point, some people will say, oh yeah, this is our Valentine's weekend, right? We're going on this trip or whatever the case may be, and some people who want to spend more than $50, but I think, if you're, in a position where you can take that trip or you can spend a little bit extra, then you could probably spend an extra $50 and get some flowers and say, hey, thank you for being my Valentine on that day, right? Can't wait to spend the weekend with you. But I do think that in the game of Valentine's Day or holidays, it's always good to show that recognition on that actual day. You'll be in the doghouse if not.
Oh yeah, and I think it comes back to that, pressure, right? So, looking at Valentine's and when it lands, if there's folks like me that are in my situation, I'm sure you guys are too. We're married, kids, school, and it lands on a Tuesday. People are at work. It's really hard, because then you have kids that have to do certain things after school and what have you. So you find an ideal day. And I think Tuesday falls closer to Sunday, the Sunday before, right, which is the 12th. Or you can extend that out, like you said, make that a Valentine's week. I don't know that I've gone that far. I think I've always tried to do it closely to the day. If it falls closer to the weekend, then we'll go out there and celebrate the weekend. But my wife's had this thing about making sure that my family's involved, that my kids are also involved. A lot of times we try to make it to where her and I can go out and maybe have a nice lunch or nice dinner. But there's some component of like, for her, is that it's not complete unless the kids are around. And it's a good thing, to see the kids around there. But I think I want to separate the kids. I've been wanting to separate the kids.
But Jose, do you think maybe the wife enjoys enjoys the kids seeing her getting treated well?
And that's one thing I've learned to accept. Obviously as a father, husband, partner, you want to make sure that you also can cherish those moments with your kids, because that's what they take. They take those moments, and that's how they develop their relationships in the future, right? Kind of to the question that I asked earlier, I didn't see that so much in my family. Coming from migrant parents, they were more into, hey, survival. There wasn't discretionary incomes to do everything other than survival, right? Hey, I got to work to make sure I can feed you, give you this and give you that, and discipline you. And there's no room for anything else. Every once in a while after Sunday, I'll take you guys to Chuck E. Cheese. But other than that, then, and that doesn't mean that they didn't love you. They just, it was a different cultural experience, right? And as you come and integrate yourself to the American culture, then that certainly is different. And Valentine's Day certainly is part of that. So first generation, I'm showing my kids, hey, now I can show you how much not only do we love you, but maybe we can show you through this process that maybe you can carry on and with your family as well. So, I would think that every day, I don't think so. I don't think it's every day, but there are moments when you just think about it and say, you know what, I better do something special.
So I'll tell you that because again, with our business, we have to deal with a lot of people's driver's licenses and birthdays and stuff. A few years ago, I'd always tell my wife, because I'm a November baby, so I always kind of look for somebody with the same birthday and stuff, But then I started telling her, the fun part is if you actually do the math and you work it backwards. You say, okay, there's a lot of November babies.
I'm November 17th.
And I think it's to show how much influence February 14th has is I can tell you statistically there are definitely a lot more November babies than say like middle, like June, July-ish kind of babies. And so that's kind of it was always our joke is, the November baby was somebody, it was a Valentine's Day. And then September, that means, okay, that was either Christmas or New Year's Eve, It's kind of a way to look at it. But I mean, you're kind of always thinking like, okay, what was so special around those days that, led to a conception? And again, there are definitely a lot of November babies.
That is interesting because my dad didn't get the memo. I was October, so
October.
He wasn't sure.
You could have been like,
you were a New Year baby,
or maybe, the joke could always be too, like if it was later, it was like, oh, he got in trouble, so he made up
there you go,
weekend or something, So that was just our always joke with it.
Yeah, no, I think it's all all good stuff. I think I think for me, it's like just do something though. Just do something. Even if it's just a recognition. I think that goes a whole long way. And you kind of started touching on a good point where it's like the family, right? I have 3 boys, and not trying not to go into a parenting conversation, right? But it's like oftentimes you're working. And you get there in the evening, and then you have to be the stick, or and then you're tired, or now we're dealing with household duties or responsibilities. So I think Valentine's Day, to your point, with bringing everybody along, it is a good opportunity to say, well, man, Dad really cares for Mom, like man, look at him all cleaned up and smiling and being nice to her today. They're not talking about bills and all the challenges of getting kids to and from and all this stuff, right? It was just a day to kind of relax and enjoy each other, right? And, obviously it's like, well, why don't you do that every Sunday, or why don't you do that every other week and just make that part of your schedule? But, life is life, and it could be hard and challenging to do those things.
But and one thing, Abel, is that it's evident that if you see it in your family growing up, and you saw it in your family, and I saw it in my family, then it's evident that we also express that with our family. So I think, it's not necessarily Valentine's Day. It's just, I think culturally, it's looked upon differently with different cultures in the world, right? But here in the U.S., I think we all accept it as a day of love, courtship, being able to show your partner that you care, be my Valentine's, I mean, that's a good one there. I really didn't think about that, but I'm going to see if my wife's waiting for me to tell me, hey, I want you to be my Valentine.
If you haven't done that, Jose, and you do that, man, I might not see you for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we may see another November baby.
You might have a November baby. Oh, man. Well, gentlemen, I think that pretty much wraps up Valentine's Day. I think we covered all the ins and outs, no pun intended.
Not at all.
And any last comments?
No, we can always finish off with the table topic. That's what we're here for.
All right.
One last one.
All right. Which health change do you know you should make, but you just can't?
Oh, man. I got to stay away from tacos, man. The tacos and burritos and all the fried food. And I mean, I love food. I'm big on it. I'm big in life. And that's kind of like my weakness, right, is the food. Hispanic culture, we have all these flavors and spices, but it's all, cooked in manteca and deep fried and, wrapped in a tortilla and all those things that are bad for you.
But
right?
not on Valentine's Day.
I got to cut down.
Comforting.
No, on Valentine's Day, I try to keep it light. I try to keep it light because there might be some cardio, hopefully, that I have to partake in.
I mean, we've been trying to get back into some kind of workout routine. I mean, obviously, we don't eat a whole lot, but we do eat. We like our food, but I want to work out more. I would tell you that's something I've been trying to get back into.
Rohir, join the club.
Yeah.
I've been trying to put some pounds for years, and I just don't. I mean, I see all these ads that come up on, "Hey, are you thin, looking to put weight?" And I just have to look at, well, shoot, what do I got to do? Because shit, I've been fighting this for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but like the self-help book, like you just put it right down.
There you go. And it's hard to follow these routines because obviously it's tough. But to your point, I think it's always food, and it's a bad food that you want to try to stay away from. Especially food that's high in cholesterol. You would think that someone like me would be thin, very healthy, but believe it or not, it's internally sometimes. It could be high sodium, that leads to high blood pressure or just the ingestion of a lot of fat. That's also cholesterol. So kind of like to your point, if there was one health move that I could do is cut back on those fatty foods and try to keep myself more fit.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we are going to ask our ladies to be our Valentine. We're going to show some appreciation, and we're going to cut back on some of the food. And Jose will eat a little bit extra so he can gain some weight, and we'll call it a wrap.
There you go.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'd be happy to continue to provide great content for you and your friends and family. Like and subscribe. Thank you.